You guys ready? Yeah. Okay. We'll call the meeting to order at 7:31 a.m. We're in the central office. OPS Negotiations Committee meeting Thursday, May 8th, 2025. We have with us Mr. Miller, Mrs. Marody, Mr. Schneider, Business Manager Jetson, Superintendent Sal, Board Members, Mabel, and Kramer. So we're at first. So like that. So what I did is I printed off our initial proposal from before. If there's anything that you guys agreed to in there, we can initial that, and then that we can give it to Shannon. She can email that out. And then we've got our calendar. Pass two of those down to our. And then I brought an extra copy of this one too. If there's any agreements on it, we can initially do the same thing. That was. Over to.
Okay, so the first one on there is in response to your guys' section 3 short-term leave absences, kind of just adds a cap in there. Just let you read it and ask your questions.
I should put maximum 1 day, not to exceed 7 hours.
Yep.
What that would be what's fair, right? So 1 day, 7 hours has to be taken in hourly increments. Is that to be consistent with other policies, or is there a reason for the hourly increments? Just keeping this track?
I think that was the.
Yeah, that was our intention.
Yeah, not to exceed 2 hours.
Yeah, the 2 hours.
I think it was a tracking. Okay, and then the TFFR, we are just gonna kind of hold off on that to see what your guys' thoughts were on health insurance. The section 125, we took a look at that, and in the last few negotiating sessions, we've increased that dramatically. Yep. So we're not feeling the increases sustainable on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah. So you guys want to adopt some kids or
have a few more, you know.
Oh, that's Jen.
I guess adopted would be better than somebody would adopt school.
How about we go to Ryan?
He's young. Well, you got some young teachers, work on them, okay? I'll let you handle professional growth. That was your verbiage there.
You haven't have any questions on which and then professional growth, like we talked a lot about our entire board focus has been on our goals and getting our kids to proficient and with that, with our commitment of growth mindset, we just feel like it's super important for all of the teachers to attend that professional development.
First for the day.
I guess our answer would be no. Yeah, because we feel like it's imperative for everybody to be there. If they choose not to be there, then that's their choice to use that leave day. With the intention of making it up. The idea behind it is a lot easier for you to teach all your kids when they're in one classroom. It's a lot easier for all of the teachers to be good for professional development. I do for that.
Have you guys given any thought to, now that the money has been decided, have you guys given any thought to any of that?
We've done lots of that, Mr. Miller. The problem is there's not much money to work with.
Any proposals coming forth, or is this what we're going to stay with and planning on addressing money aside from TFFR?
We are planning on addressing it once we see where health insurance goes.
Okay.
Is that if we can save dollars in the health insurance, that gives us money to reallocate other places in this package. Just being franked. And then,
That's what, like, I didn't see anything on here, that's what, like,
Yeah.
as we get into it, that was my the question.
I think you guys saw the email from Mrs. So that we're dealing with negative $131,000. Is that what we figured out over the next biennium? So that's just the second year. So we average that out. But
You said 52,000.
for the first year, yeah. Negative 52%. Your next year is 131 minus. Yeah, we are.
After the 2 years, it'll be 52,000.
No. Okay, so the first year, we're gonna lose,
So I think there were two emails.
Yeah.
And so both with the second email that you sent, the first year was a positive number.
so, yeah, when we first were working on the numbers, we thought we were gonna be negative both years. But
This one,
yes, so
that's the current one.
yes, that's the current one.
Yeah, so first year, we're not losing.
No, but overall, yeah, over the
Yeah.
biennium, yeah, we're gonna lose
That
50,000. Yeah,
okay.
I see what you're saying, sorry about that. Right.
Between the 2 years, we lose 52,000.
Yes,
The other thing I looked at with that too is, according to those worksheets you sent down here, like property tax increase, how accurate are those?
that's a great question for Shannon, because we reached out to Wanda.
All right, so Don Flaherty, who was the assessor for Dickey County. So. And the majority of ours is in Dickey County, so that's who I deal with. when all of the numbers are final from the auditors, they send them to Wanda, and then I know what that final number is. That final number doesn't occur until December 1st. So until then, it's a best guesstimate.
So these projection sheets that Ann had sent us, are they accurate up to this last December 1st?
That is of December 1st of 2024, yes. So I talked to Don Flaherty already, and I'm getting clarification on his number. There will be an increase in the commercial property. There's no change in the ag values, and the residential will go up a little bit. That's driven by market value a little bit.
So do you think that, how accurate do you think these property tax numbers?
What does that one have that you have 23 or something? It's gonna be on page 2, I think.
Yeah,
It should be, yeah,
That's what I was.
what number? Oh, okay, so that's not the, this is the property that's right up above it, the 23.6. So my guess is that's gonna be 24.5.
This number increases.
The 60 mils, yes. So if you take 23, that 23.6 times 0.06, because it's, yep, that's what that number will be.
So the other thing to keep in mind too is that with the legislature, they put a 3% cap on the amount that we can levy this year. So even if
So
we're
if you
below
take-
that 60 mils, if that puts us over that 3%, we cannot go up to that. So
So if we
they really
take
helped us out this year.
1,417, what is it? 654.68 times. The most that can go up is that number. Because that's 3% of the 60 mils.
$1 million. No.
No.
It's like
50
43,000.
minus 1,
It's 40.
Okay.
65.68.
So, but this is the amount of dollars essentially what you're receiving if this was accurate. Right?
That's the 60 mils, yes.
Okay, so,
There's more, but yes.
yeah, so just the numbers I was looking at too, because yes, we leave the funding, the 52,000 over 2 years, but we're also needing from these numbers on these worksheets is different ones. from this one.
Okay,
So
but wait a
this
minute, go
one-
back to that first, that one. Okay, so if you go to, okay, see that 1417? That is subtracted from that number right there.
Is that number?
Okay, so this 6 million. Okay, so if you come up here, you have pre-K,
Yep.
kindergarten, all those, that's with their average daily membership. Okay, so then here's some more weighted stuff that they give us. And since we're a small school, we get 1.02. So our daily average membership is 545 times what they put for pupil aid is, so that's your 6 million. Okay, they take your local property tax, the 60 mils, Century Code requires us, and they subtract it from the 6 million that DPI is gonna give us. And then 51,000, this is back here on page 2, this is. I just have to do those numbers exactly. So then this 475 is what I received, or what they are estimating, DPI is estimating to get in 25-26.
So regardless, this is the total money we're getting
No, 47 is.
from the
Minus the
state,
fund.
from the state.
47 is what we're getting from the state.
But this is what we're getting total because aren't we getting this money?
Yes. Yes,
So the state pays the difference. The most we can get basically is this or something.
no.
Because I don't get the subtraction here.
Okay, because DPI doesn't want to pay, because this all came about when it was the western counties. They want to take off what you're getting, because if you look here on this back page, there's, this is where coal and, coal tax and oil and gas tax comes on. So there are some schools that don't get anything from DPI because this number is so great. So we will get our 60 mills. We're required to take those 60 mills. There's going to be, we can levy up to 70. So we have 10 more mills to look at. But we can't, we're not guaranteed to get all 10 mills because of 3% cap.
How many mills do we levy right now?
I think it's 105.
Right.
But that's not all general fund. 20 of those are
Building,
specifically for building. 3 are in special reserve, 12 is miscellaneous, and then 70 in general. So
Do we have anything specifically tagged with our miscellaneous? Okay, that's implied. Does that get applied to the general fund?
it's run through the general fund.
I mean, if you're asking if we had it designated for specific things or the.
But we were also looking, I mean, yes, there's other things that we were looking at. We're trying to use that for a lot of building maintenance. Is what we've taken that.
Oh, I do.
And the fixed assets. So yes-ish, because that is, that's for the formula. We'll get, this will be a mixture, the 6.1 should be a mixture of property taxes and state.
Maybe one thing just to share is about our minimum, our carryover, right? How much we're carrying over versus what we should be.
Okay, so industry standard likes 20%. And if we were budgeted to carry over 10.
So that means each year we only have a 10% cushion of our expenses that if something goes awry, like 2 years ago, we had special ed overages or, something goes wrong with our billing. We have less than 10% of our expenses for a buffer right now.
And that's in Century Code as well, correct? What we have to carry over?
No.
What was
Some
that you
schools,
sent out?
yeah.
That's
Century Code.
50,000.
You can't have more than.
That's a max.
That's a max.
35,000.
That's a max.
Yep.
35% of the prior year's expenditures plus 50,000.
Well, that's a recent change in Century Code, because it wasn't always 35%.
It has been since I've been on board.
That's it?
And many schools have minimums, like you have to carry over 20% because if you don't carry over 20%, then you have to start making budget cuts and our 10%, we were less than that. We were like
And when I
6 and
started
8
on
a couple of
board,
years ago. So we're trying really, really hard to carry it over to build that up just in case something bad goes wrong. We don't have any cushion. Very little.
The carryovers there for that, and, we gotta continue to pay salaries. So if we don't have, because our income mostly comes in.
December, January, February, March. Yeah, my last automatic deposit from one of the commies was $1,800. So it's pretty much straight up. What I have is got to last us until we get our next DPI payment, which is September 1st.
Good, Ron, you got any more questions about?
There's none.
So,
Took me 3 years to start
The
understanding.
formula
it, so.
is just discombobulated. That's hard to understand.
twenty, 24 and carried over 15%.
No, I think we were about
23, 24. I carried over,
It says you carried over 1,075,000,
Yep.
20% is 1.3 million.
I carried over 15.23% on 23,
Oh,
24.
20. That's what, oh, you know why that was? Because of our $500,000. We used to pay for the floor.
Yeah, because that carried over.
That's why then That's what I'm.
Yes, we had ESSER money because we had gotten all the ESSER money and then I had to pay for the floor. This was June 30th, and then of course I paid for most of the floor in July, August, in September, actually August.
So you'd like that to be at 10.
20 is industry average. There's school in the States like that, if you went up 83 to basketball, that school, South of Minot, at South Prairie, they have a policy that says they will not fall below 20%.
Good luck.
Oh, your guys' proposals. Um, Let's start with the things that we'll say yes to and go from there. Paragraph 4, the change from 90 days to July 1st. Good with that. Article 3, section 6 and section 10, job description emailed in 30 minutes, instead of a half hour. I'm good with both of those. Removing the teacher grievance policy, we are not interested in that. Removing it from the negotiation.
That's section 2.
That is
Article
Article 2.
Oh, okay.
The rest of it is open-ish.
I think we could talk about the
What we thought.
section 3,
This one,
the athletic,
the athletic.
proposal. I'm just gonna call it the athletic proposal.
Can I get a copy of this?
They're just running off last one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought there was a.
No. So I think the first half of the language, like the activity director, superintendent has versus the board, hire, fire, eliminate, whatever. At the end, the very end of your proposal where it says extra compensation will be at the discretion of the activities director or superintendent. We would just like to work out something where that's a concrete, like you're using a formula to figure that out. I did try to look, I don't know how you determine like coaches and assistant coaches, like what that number of attendance has to be for a sporting event, you know, just to create some equity amongst all sports. So it's not like, oh, well, this sport did good this year, we're gonna give you $1,000, but we don't like Brian that much, we're gonna give you 200, or you know what I'm saying? Just to maybe have a standard formula that gets used to determine what that is versus it'll just be at their discretion.
Was this verbiage in that original?
Yeah, that was the exact thing I think you put up there that they approved. Yes.
I'm just interested what they're. What? Was there something that was before on that?
That was not you.
I don't know what that either, and I don't know what extra compensation will be at the discretion of, do you remember?
So I think part of that is that would be eliminating, if you don't have an assistant, you get that. If you look at the negotiated agreement, I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
sure that's eliminating.
part of your proposal was eliminating number 4. So it says any coach required to do without an assistant will be paid the assistant's salary in addition to the head coach's salary.
That's it.
I'm guessing
Okay,
that's your
yeah.
thought.
Oh, we were combining the two.
Yeah.
That was a long time.
Yeah.
And we don't have a problem with the rest of it, just a little bit.
Concise.
Yeah, well, because, okay, so like with basketball, you went to state, lost an assistance, I'm gonna give you a $5,000. If you didn't have football, you get $100. So like, but just at the discretion, sure that we prefer, but the rest of it's fine. Yep. Like,
Yeah, like what do you do currently for deciding like who gets this, like do you have a formula you use to decide
Who gets extra compensation?
or just good
Well,
coaches.
who gets coaches?
Like, is
So maybe
there-
that could be consistent.
Maybe we should.
Yeah,
Who gets coaches, who gets
Like,
hired?
how do you discern?
Like how many coaches do you get?
Yeah.
Does
Well,
football
it
get 3
depends
coaches,
on
do they get 5
Title
coaches?
IX, it depends on, like, we had to hire
Say,
a coach wrestling.
Yep.
Because we have.
Yep.
I guess there hasn't been a set number, because in football, the numbers would be different than in volleyball or, because for the safety, and so,
Right, it's
And maybe
Yeah.
whatever the policy is, it just follows that. So there's some sort of
Yeah.
just, at the discretion of is a sticky term that opens everybody up to unnecessary.
Yeah, I think if we could just work to agree on,
Yeah.
here's what that would look like, here's.
And we don't really have any, like, hey, it has to be this or it has to be that.
Right.
We have
It's
zero.
more so
Just like it's,
Something,
Yeah,
something so
To
the
ensure
policy is.
consistency.
yeah.
so we just need to work on
And then
that.
it also says superintendent and AD from backlash.
Right,
because you pick this person.
So. I think we were doing away with that.
Gotcha. Yeah, so like if no one was the only 7th grade, or there was only one coach when no one had 7th and 8th grade, so yeah.
Which happened.
It did, yeah, because there was only one 8th grader, I think, right, or one 7th grader.
So are you talking about the part where it says decision to hire will be based on the level of instruction required to teach necessary
No.
skills?
No.
Well, that's the
Extra
first part of it, it's the last line.
Extra compensation, you're not looking at.
Yeah, you're looking at the wrong things.
Oh, you guys are on the actual negotiated agreement.
Yeah.
Oh.
We
Next time, bring me that bumper.
Yeah, that.
I don't think you were on the agenda when you said that, the.
Oh, no, I think they were looking for the money or at the discretion of in the addendum, but it wasn't in there.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they were looking at that, I think.
Whiteboard here.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Shannon's Day.
So you get picked over Article 4, Section 1 there, increase the maximum for safety.
That's something that we're not gonna say no to, but that's not a high priority. Again, a lot of this is contingent on, like,
Money.
maybe the best way to categorize where we're at is the money's in a pot. And how you slice this pie up, like, does it go to here, does it go to here, does it go here? That's fine, but like, the amount of people that the max credits to 80 effect is minimal. And so it's one of those deals where like, and I know that it's not going to cost us a bunch of capital to say, yeah, let's do that. But it's also going to cost us something in the long run, because it's not nothing. It's not zero. There is a dollar sign with that. So if we have, $50,000 to split up and that takes away 4, that's not right. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I didn't say no to it. Like it's on the table of things to discuss.
I will put a question.
Yep.
On Section 3, I'll keep number 4 there, if you're okay with eliminating that, combining it, number 6 with the conversation on that.
I think that depends on what we can agree to for the last line.
As long as there's a schedule, I
We
mean,
can figure it out.
whatever the schedule is, we can take a look at it. So yeah.
I think it would be fine to do that if we were like, if you have over X amount of kids, or I don't know how that would work, right? Because football has a ton of
And
kids.
maybe it's by school.
Okay.
And for basketball, maybe that number is 18. Maybe football, maybe that number is.
I think that would be something that Rhonda would have to.
Yeah.
Maybe even talk to coaches about too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, whatever
We want
that,
to eliminate it until we like do the second part.
yep. Couple of questions on insurance.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so question number one, I guess to start. There's not a lot of support for doing away with the tradition. So the question I have for you, the way I read this, if you'd like to remove the traditional plan from the options, is it for what you're willing to compensate or remove it, period?
Remove it, period,
So like they,
because it's the higher premium of the two.
but so the question is like, so if we start working on this thing here and we go through it and nobody will be, because like right now I have a family plan, a traditional family. And I get compensated at 10,600 or whatever it is, I pay the rest. So is the option that we're, if somebody wants the traditional plan, the board will compensate 8,000 or whatever a high deductible plan is, and they can pay the difference for the traditional plan? Is that still?
Well, you're not paying anything for your, well, we're paying the
Yeah,
same.
I pay $12,000
Right,
or
right.
$1,200 a month.
Yeah.
So yes, I do pay something for my health insurance.
So the thought behind that is if we can do away with traditional, that's school-wide. So it saves us not only on your guys's, but it saves us for the rest of the salaries that we also have to come up with money for.
So the traditional would not be an option,
Right.
even if they wanted to pay the extra, like they currently do now. Yep. Is that something, like realistically, that would be something that we're not interested in if that's the case, to be 100% honest. Just because.
But yeah,
There's a whole bunch of people that like the tradition.
I did do my due diligence and talk to a lot of people at OEA, and they were like, no.
Like,
And some of
like
those
if
people.
it's something where like the board, because like as it said, the board will compensate up to, is I think the wording as it is now, up to a
it's
traditional single.
It's half of a single is.
Yeah, and then the payout, if the no.
Half of a single.
Okay, now you guys are
Yeah.
talking two different things. You were talking about the traditional policy, and now you're talking
Well,
about.
no,
half of the
let's
single.
stay with the traditional. Right?
Okay, thank you.
So right now it is, board will compensate up to, and the number set forth is a single traditional plan.
The board shall offer a traditional health insurance plan. It doesn't say compensate up to.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I guess that's the way it's been at.
No,
Well,
we pay the single,
Yeah, but for like me, I have a family plan. You pay
Right.
the single rate.
right, we pay the single on everything.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
So you're saying,
So what I'm asking is like, you will offer, let's say you offer a high deductible plan,
okay.
but like Ryan, because Ryan right now has a single traditional. Can we-
Just for.
Okay, well, let's.
Hit the roll.
Just shut your mouth and start having kids. Okay, so Ryan has a traditional. Okay, so you're going to pay for the high deductible, but he can pay the extra $500 a month to get a tradition. Is the question I'm asking.
Okay,
Can they pay the difference?
that's
And
something
that
we can, definitely look at.
Because like, we're not.
That would effectively give us the same result.
It gives you the same result,
Yeah,
so much choice.
yeah,
and it allows our option.
right. It would effectively give us the same result. But I would also like to work on the fact that we pay all of the deductibles and co-insurance. I would like to put a cap on that.
Okay, what is your proposal for the cap?
And I have
Oh, well, let me check my folder.
Okay, so on the high deductible, we pay $1,700 into an HSA, right?
Yes.
And then is
So-
that's matching or that's just you pay in and
Matching.
Right, only if, yeah,
then, so if they pay in 1,000.
Right.
1,000. But
right.
it's capped at 7.
The only guarantee is the first year of the 1,800. The first year an employee elects a high deductible, they automatically get 1,800 dumped in.
And that goes in right away.
Does that money, I don't know, does that money carry over per year, is that?
Health savings account is like a savings account, you do not have to use it, it's not in service.
If you, let's say, you leave the district, you can
As
take that
long
money
as.
with you.
That is your money.
Hit the
Yeah.
highest number.
Yep,
You get paid out.
a lot of people actually use it as when they're getting closer to retirement, it's a second retirement plan,
You're close.
because you can roll it into a retirement plan. We did not talk about dollar recourse.
We did not talk about it.
So, okay, so let's see. What is our deductible on
The health insurance, the traditional policy?
Yeah.
I believe it's 500.
what's our verbiage? You get, the teacher pays the first 300 of the deductible, and the board will pay the balance of the deductibles and all co-insurance. That's the part that's expensive. So your co-insurance right now is 20%, is that correct, once you meet your deductibles? I'm just making sure I'm reading the right one.
But I hope that, everybody.
That's something we would have to talk about, I mean, I can't just.
Yeah, no, that's fine, but like, as we get into, again,
No.
whatever that
That's just
number
what
is,
I-
obviously that affects the
And I just carried that.
pot.
Right,
When we talk
Yeah.
about the rest of them.
I mean, I think we have ideas. I mean, we came up with some, I think, solid ideas about health insurance.
So we're willing to work, yeah, I get, health insurance is expensive and it's,
it's a wild card.
And
that's the
finding a
problem.
way to somehow keep the traditional, which is what the teachers are wanting. So I mean, we have some ideas of things.
we just need to know where, like, what's your caps would like to be. And some things like that. Okay, so that's kind of our ideas on what the traditional is, if the proposal is traditional off the table, period, the answer to that is no. If it's traditional is available and working with a high deductible in some capacity and you know what I mean, that's something we can work around depending on, and caps on. We're open to discuss what that is, because again, money isn't cool.
Right.
If we have money from here, then we'll take it off, as long as the money that we're taking off gets added back in a different capacity.
Right.
We're good, and then it lessens your liability from
So-
wild swings a little bit.
It wouldn't lessen your, like, lack of being able to budget health insurance, right? Because it's so variable
Right,
from year to
right.
year.
But you're lucky, just so you know.
Yeah.
A lot are dealing with 20+% increase.
Would you, I mean, is it possible to keep traditional how it is, but then play around with the co-insurance balance thing? Or you want to do both?
I like your guys' proposal of going to the high deductible, just paying up to the high deductible, because that takes away a lot of that increase, because the traditional is the higher premium, so when that goes up, it's a higher cost to us.
The one thing that we'll have to, the one
I
thing.
don't know about that.
We'll talk. The one thing we'll have to, so whatever, the thing that will be, the thing that's difficult with that is how do you match somebody taking the traditional under the savings account? So if I put in $1,000 into the savings with a high deductible,
Oh, that.
and you match it,
Yeah,
but I take the, how does that equate?
well, that's what I need to look at.
Yeah, so it's one of those deals where it's like if I'm gonna take, so you're gonna compensate up to this, and I'm gonna take their traditional. But if I put in $1,700 into the health savings account, then you match that, so how does that?
Right. And that's what we gotta look at, is how
You
it.
can't have an HSA.
No, he knows
I
that.
know that, but how does that
In
equate?
comparison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so does it change if when I talked to Blue Cross Blue Shield rep, if we dropped down to a single policy, just high deductible, our premiums could drop to around 2%.
That's a,
Then,
I mean, like realistically, that's a you guys
Yeah.
thing. That's not a us guys thing.
well,
Because-
not really, because if you have your traditional people and they're paying a family plan at $12,000 a year, and you go to the high deductible plan, your premium is gonna drop from the high deductible. Your family premium could drop up to 2%.
But could.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, what we want is the ability to still have a traditional plan, because the people that have the traditional plan don't want to deviate from that. I understand what you're saying, but like, the savings in that, I understand. But the other thing is like, you already pay what you pay for your health insurance. Like, if you have a traditional family plan, it's already what it costs. And if that number goes up, that number goes up. And if you don't want to pay that number, then you have the ability to manipulate that plan to whatever you want it to be. But the option to have the plan is something that people still want. So we can't, I guess what I'm saying is we can't lose the ability to have that because people want that. And if we lose that ability, then we can't proceed further with this. But if we keep that in play and figure out the compensation in a different capacity, we would be willing to discuss where that goes.
And then can I ask you something too? So ideally, you would want to get rid of tradition, right? But you're open to playing around
Somehow
with this, right?
reducing our costs.
Yeah, so, and then the co-insurance and the height and the deductibles, right? You would like to do something with that as
Yeah.
well, if we try to.
If we can try to figure out a fair cap.
So would you also, if we were, I don't, are you pretty stuck on like nobody getting paid out if they're not taking the insurance?
Am
The
I
number 3.
stuck on it? No, but I would like to cap it if we can.
Okay. Because we crunched some numbers on that stuff last night too, so. it's
So what,
very-
like, so let's say there was still a payout in some capacity. Come up with a number you would be comfortable with.
That I did have.
Oh. Yes, $3,000.
That's right. That's the number.
So Shannon, let me ask you a question, or maybe you have this, Sheila, but what, if we all switch to a high deductible? Right now, because the policy is you get half of the traditional
Yeah,
plan, which is 10,600, I'm guessing, because the payout is 5,300.
Yes.
What is the high deductible
for the cost,
for the cost for the school?
it was like 8.
8605.
8605.
Uh-huh.
Okay. With a potential for another $1,700 based on if they contribute.
Right, correct. You know, and get, I hate to bounce back and forth, but going back to us paying the co-insurance, that's not, if we put a cap on it, either way, it's not really, it's not equal, because Ryan's
Right.
co-insurance may only be $400 and Kayla's might be 6,000, you know,
Right.
so there's no,
It's not
No way to
equitable.
know.
yeah,
I understand.
yeah,
No, we do that. And
and I'm not sure how you make it
you
equitable,
can't
because
because
if
the,
they don't
you know,
have,
it's one of the deals where like, if you have a family with kids, go to the doctor.
yeah,
If you're nearing retirement, you're gonna go to the doctor. If you're 23 and fresh out of college, you don't go to the doctor, you don't go to the dentist, you don't go to the eye doctor unless you have a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Typically speaking.
yeah,
I'm not saying that you shouldn't go to the dentist. I'm just saying, if you're in that mindset, it's like, my tooth hurts, I'm going to the dentist. My tooth don't hurt, I ain't going to the dentist. So like, I get it, like, there's not a, but like,
yeah. Or, you know, the HSA, it's a little more. Well, that, and I think it's, you know, if they choose to do it, everybody's getting the same.
so we're open to a proposal.
We have some ideas.
Yeah. Well, we're open to whatever you guys want to propose and then we can, you know, those are some of the parameters that like are kind of must-haves for us. If that makes sense to you, and the rest of it we're open to, like, we must have a traditional plan available to us. If, because there's enough people that take it, and don't want to lose. Where it's like, well, you know, okay. And whatever that looks like, and however the HSA matching, like, you know, whatever you come up with, we'll, you know, talk about and fine tune it.
But I don't think that's something we can come up with.
No,
Right,
no,
yeah,
no,
okay,
no, no,
yeah, we'll bring it
Not,
back.
not expecting it.
I think we have enough ideas of where you guys are sitting at and kind of
Yeah, that's, like I
where
said,
I can use the wiggle room here and work with it, so.
we just wanted to provide some parameters. But this is things that,
Well, that's what we gotta do. We gotta throw our thoughts out there. And
yeah, and this is what, like, we talked to people who want to lose their figures. We can discuss how we would like to change that, as long as that's still on the board. Compensation. Figure out the caps on the payouts and both for the not taking insurance and not co-pays and things like that nature. And those numbers. Yeah, once we have the numbers sitting in front of us, say, okay, well, we'd like a little bit more here, that's fine. Let's see, section 6, again, the TFFR, yeah. So like, you know, to be transparent with you guys, the idea for us, working in the insurance is directly related to the amount of TFFR.
ours too.
So like, if, and just again, being 100% honest with you and transparent, it's like, if we're going to give all of that insurance, we're going to expect that back in TFFR. You know what I mean? So if we're gonna give you, you know, the things in insurance, then we're gonna expect both sides. Is kind of what we're thinking. You know, just so you have an idea of where we're at.
Well, our thought wasn't to save in health insurance and take that money
No,
away from them.
no.
I think that was not the goal at all. The
Never
goal
once
was
did
to
we-
save on health insurance so we had money to put else.
Yeah,
So
that's kind
we're
of
on the same page. You know.
just so you know, like, as we talked about, it's like, okay, we can wiggle a little bit on health insurance if we get that back into our some money. That's where we're at.
Okay, in the interest of moving things along here a little bit, can I have you guys look at this initial proposal? Who's your lead negotiator that wants to initial? Whatever you guys agreed to on there that you said, if you can initial next to that, and then I'll have Sheila initial next to it. And then I will give those to Shannon and have her email those out to everybody. Does that work? Yeah, okay. And then, is there anything on the counter? Yes.
It's very official.
Is there anything on the counter proposal that you're willing to agree to today? Would you like to take that with you and then we'll get that
I
next
think we'll
time?
come back to that, yeah.
And then do you guys have anything for us today as far as?
No,
No,
once, I guess maybe as you work through the numbers, are we gonna talk about any compensation until we get done with that, or are we gonna have another meeting after we get done with insurance?
Yeah, well, we need to.
Well, I mean, okay, so as we hammer out insurance, then we'll see what the pile is left and finish up.
Right.
So I think for the next one, we should probably have insurance and TFFR together.
Right.
And then it's base and 125 or whatever other compensation there is.
Yep.
In an ideal world, I think we would love to give you just whatever you're asking for.
Well, yeah.
But unfortunately, our hands are really tight right now. I know that Anna and Shannon have been really looking at the budget and cutting it where they can and just, I would really encourage you guys to start reaching out to legislators, our new governor, and talking about not putting education last on there. That's what happened this year is public education got the last and home was last.
We got the scraps.
It's disappointing. I know Anna and Shannon and I were out and was worked several times. Patty was with us once and our local representatives, I think are really great and they're really good about public education. It's some of these bigger cities that just don't get to enrollment and what that is to us. we encourage people, really to start advocating for public education because we're really getting the brunt of it. So that's my PSA for today.
When would you like to meet next?
Larry's meeting, I was wondering.
Oh, he is so, oh, gosh.
The only thing that we've got a board meeting this Friday morning, so that's out. Sooner the better, yeah. I mean, I think the way it's looking is we're going to have a special meeting anyways to.
If we do it for Wednesday, I have to be gone by 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so.
Does Monday give you guys enough time to turn it around and figure it out?
Do you want to see us on a Monday morning?
I'm,
I'm just gonna bring up Monday, Larry, there's like Monday.
oh, yeah.
Larry, you're ready for Monday. I'm fine with Monday.
Like realistically,
Based on
the hope is that we can meet Monday and get close and.
Well, I was gonna say that
Meet
gives
one
us
more
time if
time.
we need to meet it one
Yeah.
more time. before
Maybe one more
Friday.
time.
Yeah.
And hopefully get it in front of the board by Friday to approve. Ideally, that might not happen, but
I think Anna would quit sweating a little bit if she had contracts to handle.
Yeah, I'd love to have that.
Well, same.
Monday.
Larry, you said that to me already?
Nope,
Oh,
not
not
yet,
yet.
Larry's busy.
It's busy. What did you think? It has been a wild couple of weeks, and we're not running.
Haven't got those potatoes in the ground yet?
Oh, we finished that 2 days ago, so that is exciting, but now I gotta. Oh, I'll adjourn the meeting at.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, yeah. What time was it? 8:23.